Hello and welcome to the Generation Esports Report. I'm Coach Alney and I have a very exciting episode planned for you today. We're going to break down the competitive scene of Valorant, the brand new title that has taken the esports world by storm. We're going to break down the community, competitive scene, and how you can go pro at Valorant. So stick around. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We are Generation Esports, and we run the high school esports league, the middle school esports league, and are here to help you get started, learn, and compete in esports. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Next week, we're going to do a mid-season report on our leagues, but for today, I want to take the time to educate on this new and popular esports title. So let's get started. To start, let's talk about the current state of Valorant. The game was released on June 2nd of 2020 and was able to pull in 3 million players a day during its 2-month beta. How many people are still playing? Well, we don't have an exact figure because Riot has not made that information public. Just by looking at viewership numbers on Twitch though, it's clear that not all the hype carried over, but that's to be expected with any brand new game. And honestly, it seems the game is still performing incredibly well. On top of that, it's begun to fill a major hole in the esports scene, at least here in North America. The Overwatch League has ran into many problems and hurdles over the past couple of years that have caused some very well-known pros to leave in pursuit of Valorant. Most notably, Sinatra, the previous world champion and MVP of the Overwatch League. We've also seen a huge shift in players and even full teams who are leaving CSGO for Valorant. The CSGO scene here in NA is not nearly as strong as it used to be, so when Valorant came out, it gave players who were maybe feeling burnt out or fatigued an opportunity to enjoy a new game. So that brings us to today. What is the current esports scene of Valorant and how do you go about being a pro? Well, we need to keep in mind that this game is brand new and Riot really likes to take their time to make sure they're doing things the right way, which is why there's currently no official public plan for their esports scene. But they have revealed they have a confirmed vision of the esport and intend to build out a global ecosystem to support the game. That also doesn't mean that there aren't events going on and money to be made. That's because Valorant actually released official competitive guidelines this summer allowing third-party organizers to host events for Valorant. This is a big deal as third-party events are historically how strong organic competitive scenes have grown. On top of that, Valorant actually entered the space this summer as well with a series they launched called the Valorant Ignition Series. This series was essentially a tour around the world partnered with major esports organizations, and so far over $1.3 million has been awarded for Valorant this year. That is unprecedented money for a brand new esports hosted entirely by third-party companies. This leads to the announcement of the next big push by Valorant into esports, which is the First Strike series. This is a global tournament that will be the first time a team will officially be crowned as a Valorant champion in their region. So how have professional organizations been handling Valorant? Well, they jumped on it rather quick, which is a strong indication of where they think this esport is going. Organizations like 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, and Immortals announced very early on their Valorant rosters, and most major orgs have followed suit. This shows a lot of confidence in Riot and Valorant to grow as an esport. It also leaves space for a lot of new faces and players to enter the scene, which leads to our final question. How do you go pro at Valorant? Well, the first step, it's going to sound kind of obvious, but hit Radiant and Ranked. I know this is logical, but if you want to be noticed, picked up for teams, and have a reputation to back yourself, you need to hit Radiant. So put the time in, don't try to make shortcuts, and when you find yourself in the higher ranks, you can move on to step number 2, which is competition. Hitting Radiant will allow you to have the credibility to team up with other Radiant players to enter these high-level competitions. Like we said earlier, everything is third-party right now, which means you have an advantage because it gives you more opportunities than ever to start neck and neck with established organizations. You can't really do that in the franchise leagues. It's way too expensive and it takes a long time to make your way up there. But this is a new game. If your skill level is par with the pro players, you're going to face each other and that's your opportunity to shine. One of the organizers I would pay attention to is Nerd Street Gamers, as they seem to be the preferred partner for most qualifiers for major events right now, as well as it looks like they're hosting a monthly 10K Valorant tournament that you definitely want to get a part of, and that's going to be your first chance at winning some money and getting noticed. Ultimately though, the First Strike competitions and qualifiers is where you want to be because amateur teams are allowed to enter those qualifiers and it gives you an opportunity to move on to the $100,000 NA Regional First Strike competition, which is in December. Now these qualifiers are well underway, so if this is the first time you're hearing about it, you probably missed out this year, but don't worry because there's still plenty of opportunity and this leads us into step number 3, networking. This is your first opportunity to pay attention to these brand new teams who have qualified into First Strike. Network with them, add their orgs, add their players, get to know who they are, And when roster changes happen, and I promise you they will, you want to make yourself on a short list of people to replace those players. There are a lot of amateur teams right now that I saw qualifying for this event, and they're all looking to better themselves and establish their organization. And if they see a player who can help them perform better, they're probably going to snatch you up. So pay attention to that, network, and get to know all of them. And with that, that is going to be the overview of Valorant Esports, the competitive scene, and how you can go pro at Valorant. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Generation Esports Report, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe. This was a brand new format for this show, so if you enjoyed this competitive overview, let me know in the comments below and what game you would like to see next. But until then, I'll let you get back to the grind.